Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Civivi Relic. Wow, that looks like every other Civivi I've ever seen at Metal Complex. What's so special about it? Well, some people are going to think this is neat, and some people might not. I think it's pretty cool. There's a little secret back here. There are tweezers in it. Neat! I actually do think that that's really cool. And the funny thing is that when I unboxed this, I had no idea. I was like, okay, it's another... And then I put the video up, and everybody... I wanted to say, oh, I found it right after I did the unboxing. No, the truth was, I had no idea they were there until I released the unboxing and my comment section told me. But sometimes that's why it's nice to do blind unboxings. You learn, that's how you learn things. Anyways, thanks so much to Civivi for sending this in for me to take a look at. There is a link for this knife right down in the description. If you're watching this video at the time that I uploaded it, it should be available. So you can go down there and check it out if you'd like to. That's entirely up to you. Thanks to my generous patrons for supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below. And please, make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Okay, let's go ahead and get a measurement of the Relic. Not a small knife. Definitely not. Overall length is coming in at 8 inches. Blade length, 3.5 inches. Cutting edge, 3.25. So, pretty standard full-size knife. Let's do a couple of size comparisons. I don't think we need to do too many. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. You can see there. Yeah, let's get a butt-to-butt. We're a little bit zoomed out today. And up against the Ontario Rat Model 2. So you can see it's a full-size knife. Not quite as large as the Rat 1, but still a large knife. How about up against the Spyderco Para 3? Para 3 coming in a bit shorter. And last but not least, let's go ahead and put it up against the Bug Outs from Benchmade. So there you go. I think that's probably enough for size comparisons. How about carry profile? Action on this guy. It's exactly what you'd expect from Civivi. Plenty good. Thickness. Yeah, liners and scales coming in roughly as thick as the Spyderco Para 3. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here it's a bit longer than the Para 3, a bit shorter than the PM2. Nowhere near as tall. Even with this hump up here, it's still not quite as tall as the hump in the blade on the PM2 or Para 3. So not bad at all. How about we go ahead and measure blade stock thickness? I don't know why it won't stand up. Sorry about that. I'm going to guess that's about 120 thousandths. Come on, 0. It really wants that 5 in there. No, 115 thousandths, okay? Materials. On this particular one, we are looking at G10, a nice red G10. The red and black looks nice in my opinion. There are, of course, many flavors. If you use that link down below, you can see all of the different versions that they have available. I don't know if my card is an option. I honestly can't remember. What's the blade material? Nitro V. A lot of people like Nitro V. And I think it's one of those steels that makes sense in this territory. We're going to talk about the price here in just a bit. But yeah, it's a pretty good steel. You know, in this territory of knives, I think I will always prefer 14C28N. It's hard for me to, I don't want to throw people off and talk about value. I think in this price territory, this price arena, I find 14C28N to be more desirable, not only from my perspective, but by, you know, a lot of people in the community, right? But I like Nitro V. I think it's a good steel. But anyways, we have steel liners that come all the way out to the lips or edges of the scales. They are not countersunk. And then you can see in there, I don't need my flashlight, they have been skeletonized. So the weight on this guy, I'm going to guess 4.5 ounces. Okay, less than that, 4.09 ounces. Ratios, people will be a little bit, you know, oh, it's not perfect. I don't care though. 4-ounce object, that's on the lighter end of what I prefer to carry. And the profile or dimensions for me are not bad. If you wear super tight pants, athletic shorts, or no pants at all, this probably won't work for you. For most people, I think it'll be just fine. Just make sure that it is legal to carry in your local area. Let's go ahead and get out my tools for a hardware check. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. The pivot is going to be a T8. The body screws are going to be a T8 on both sides, and then the pocket clip screws are going to be a T6. No big deal. Minimal hardware, that's what I like to see. So let's move on. Okay, this is a straightforward Civivi design. It is a, not the shape of the handle is one that it's not going to make people go, oh, my favorite shape, and it's so amazing, and it draws me in visually, and it looks like an ergonomic masterpiece on top. No, it's just kind of a shape that's going to appeal in a very ho-hum way to a lot of people, right? There's enough room where you can hang on to it. The only thing that's truly offensive, in my opinion, is the pocket clip. We still have that gooseneck / goose bill clip. Don't like it. Wish it wasn't so prominent. Wish it didn't come over flat, but it does. The clip still does its job just fine. It just creates a hot spot. We have Peel Ply Texture G10 that has been chamfered at the edge nicely, so you can hang on to it. You can feel some of the pocket clip and a little bit of the flipper tab digging into your finger. There's no real, these are all just straight lines. So you've got room to move around, and it's comfortable, enough. But it's nothing overly special. The flipper tab works exactly like you would assume. It's fairly low profile. There's jimping on it, right? Some of the jimping on the underneath is what's going to bother your finger a little bit, but it's really, it's pretty good. There's no double clutch. So closing the knife with one hand, turning it and shaking it, you're okay. There's a bit of a cutout here, but it's not much. And I kind of wish it was just a little bit more, for more of a lock-in place for your finger, and at the same time, just making it a bit easier to approach the liner lock from the side and really get my finger underneath that flipper tab right there so that I can turn it and close it, or turn it and shake it closed. It's just, I'm having to push down and in, and I, pinch my finger at the same time. You just have a little bit of space under this low profile flipper tab, right? That cutout here would have made that a lot better. The overall look of the knife is nice. It's handsome in a sort of minimalist sort of way. A lot of people like that about Civivi. It's fine. The blade is a simple clip point blade. It's got a flat, or at least I'm going to call it a clip point. You can call it whatever you want. There's a flat that carries out about 60% or so the length of the blade, carrying, it's not really thick to begin with, right? The tip comes out to a kind of needle-like tip, but it should be okay. Nitro V is pretty tough. The edge is done very well, nice and clean, nice and slicey, very thin in here, right? It's going to absolutely accomplish your generic EDC style tasks. The detent is plenty good. The action is good, right? I mean, it's everything that you would expect from Civivi. There's nothing really too crazy going on here. The pocket clip can be mounted for left-handed carry if you want. This is a liner lock, so it's very easy to manipulate with my left hand. As you can see here, I'm a right-hand dominant person, so this is not going to be a problem for somebody who's left-hand dominant, but it is a right-handed liner lock, to be fair. This side of the knife is much the same as the front. So there's not really much going on here. We have an internal stop pin, believe it or not. It follows the blade. You can see that it's a bar right there. It follows the blade around, and there are channels in the liners. So it acts in a way that if you are cutting and sort of twisting, the nice thing about that setup versus a setup like this, where it's just a single point of contact, right? Since these little lugs are contacting either side of the frame, it does mitigate some pressure away from the pivot when you are twist cutting. That's a pretty minor benefit, but it is, at least in my mind, a benefit, right? So I always like that setup when I see it. The lock engages it's pretty early. Well, it's just really thin, and so is the tang, 25%. No blade play up, down, left or right. No pivot lash, which is always nice to see from Civivi. And a nice detent with no detent lash either. Okay, so the tweezer thing. This is actually something that I really like. I find, and I don't know why, I get a lot of splinters. I think it depends on, what you do day to day. But I seem to get a lot of splinters, and it is so annoying. A lot of people say, why do you need tweezers? You can just dig it out with the tip of the blade. Sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. And I know you guys who get splinters a lot, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes a knife blade is exactly what you need to get a splinter out. And then sometimes, depending on the shape of the splinter, sometimes depending on what it is, glass, Nah, I do not like digging a glass splinter out of a finger or a toe. That's usually where it ends up with a knife blade. A glass splinter is something that I would much prefer to dig out with something like this. Now the tweezers, I really wish that they had, the tipped edge. These are flat edge tweezers. They will work, but those tipped edge tweezers would be a lot better because that allows the tip of the tweezers to come to such a fine point and grab those teeny tiny little pieces of glass or plastic, or wood or whatever it is that's stuck in you. I should become a tweezer reviewer. But yeah, I mean, like, these will work. They're fine. But in some cases, what I'm saying is I don't want to use the tip of my knife, right? We got all these people going, well, I just mean, you ain't tough enough if you need tweezers to remove a sliver. Yeah, real men will use a knife blade. Shut up. Like, just shut up. That's if that's how you define that type of thing, then my God, like, what? It just makes me roll my eyes and laugh. It depends on what it is and how it got there, how big it is, right? If it's a real big old fat boy splinter, well, yeah, I think a knife blade is probably a little bit better. You might want that type of leverage, right? If it went just barely under the skin or if it went straight down, it just depends. This is a very specific tool, but I like this. They're not taking up any space, right? It's almost like now I kind of want these on every knife. I kind of want Civivi to put this on every single knife. These little pins here, I imagine they hold things together, but the tension there is no way that those tweezers are coming out of there. There's absolutely no. I legitimately could throw this thing as hard as I possibly could against a concrete wall. Why would I do that? But I could, and I guarantee you those tweezers will still be in there. There's a little lip there. You got to pull them up. There's a lot of tension, right? It's real nice. I think all lanyard holes should be just removed from knives so that there's space for tweezers. So I like that. You don't always need them. In fact, you rarely need them. But in this case, they're there. And I don't know. I just like that. I saw maybe it was just the fact that I didn't notice them. And I was like, oh, neat. A little tiny pocket, right? As far as tools that I enjoy having alongside a knife blade, usually for me, a bottle opener, a flathead screwdriver, and something I can use as a minor pry bar or scraper, right? And then, like tweezers, I also really enjoy. Those are the types of things that I see myself using. And then, of course, periodically I'll need a flashlight. If I need more than that, then I carry around my Leatherman, right? So a lot of people are going to look at the tweezer thing and just think, well, how freaking unnecessary, right? And it probably adds an unnecessary cost to the knife. Probably. I couldn't imagine that they're that expensive. Now, to change gears here, the price on this knife is a bit yikes. $72. Wait, why? Why? For the tweezers? For the Nitro V? For the Nitro V and the tweezers? That's too high. It's too much money. It's not, it's like, well, $50, so, it's $72, so it's $22 more. Is it really that offensive? Yeah, if I was looking at a $1,000 pocket knife, right, I'm going to be like, well, it should be $980. Come on here. It's no, it's the percentage of overpricedness that's bothering me here. I just don't understand. Why? Why is this not $55? I don't know. It's like Nitro V steel is cool, and I see this a lot with some of their 14C28N stuff. That's also cool, but my thought process is like, am I really? I don't know. Me personally, I don't know. In this territory, I'm not sure that it's worth it to me to spend that much more in terms of like the percentage of it's such a ridiculously higher percentage of the knife. I don't know. Maybe I'm making a bigger deal out of this. I think the simplest way to put it is this feels like a $50 knife, and it's a cool idea to have tweezers in there. Maybe not, this one, but Civivi still works with a lot of D2, 9CR, 18 MOV, and I really think they need to keep keep on that $50 territory. Keep making, I understand inflation, all whatever. Keep making people happy with those $50 knives. Do little things like this. You know, it's like I would understand if it was like $55, you got to pay a little bit more to have the hole milled out and the tweezers, right? It's not going to cost that much, but okay, $55. And little things like that would be cool. You know, it's like, oh, Civivi's now, there's a little pocket and you've got tweezers in there. That's kind of neat. I like that, but I don't like it $72. You know, it doesn't make me want to rush out and spend $72 on this. The design of the knife is okay. It has room for improvement, but rather than perfect this design of the Relic, they'll just make a different model. I think the tweezer thing is a good idea. I'm not willing to spend $72 on it, and I don't think you guys should either. This is cool, though. It's fun. This is going to be one of those knives that I give away. Civivi gave this knife to me, as is the case usually when they send stuff, and I generally like to move that on to you guys. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe. I generally give stuff away on live streams. So yeah, this is okay. It's not something I hate. It's just not something that is recommendable. But I do like the tweezer idea. Make them tipped. Civivi, seriously. If you like, do this again in the future, but don't like the little flat ends. Like it needs to be at an angle so that you have a tip. I'm very particular about my tweezers, right? I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, this was fun. This was interesting. Thanks again to Civivi for letting me check this one out. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.